It surprised me this week to learn that Jesus' triumphal entry, which we celebrate as Palm Sunday, wasn't the only parade in Jerusalem that day. On the first day of the Passover, when the city is most crowded, it's the custom of the Roman governor to enter the city at the head of a column of cavalry and soldiers. His entry is a demonstration of Roman imperial power and a reminder to the people that Rome is definitely in charge. If anyone knows how to stage an entrance, it's the Roman Empire, probably even better than Lady Gaga. The Roman triumph, a military parade celebrating victories overseas, or outside of Italy usually, was a display of massive proportions. According to one source, it must have been one of the most impressive sights the citizens would see in a city by no means short of entertaining spectacles. Although limited to the city of Rome, triumph set a standard and a model for other military processions. It's likely that far more people in Jerusalem, many of them visitors, would attend the Roman parade, not the humble display by Jesus. In our reading from Mark, we heard the people hail Jesus as the Messiah, God's anointed one. They proclaim him as heir to King David's throne, but we shouldn't be misled. The crowd, we presume, may have been very small, perhaps just a handful of people. It may have been hardly noticed. Contrary to what we often learned in Sunday school, very few Jews of the time were followers of Jesus. His teachings and behavior were radical, countercultural, and a threat to the status quo. That ultimately is why he was killed. He's a threat, albeit a minor one, and King Herod, a tyrant, would hardly tolerate pretenders to the throne or any other threat to his rule. This Palm Sunday procession, regardless of its size or the number of observers, is a clear provocation to Herod and a good enough reason to kill him. But why? Jesus isn't just thumbing his nose at the king. Two highly respected biblical scholars write that many elements of Jesus' entry are carefully planned to create the fulfillment of Old Testament prophecy. The unridden colt, the palms, and the cloaks, as foretold in the book of Zechariah, point to Christ's divinity. Other portions of the story do the same. In a very real sense, Jesus is challenging Herod and even Rome. Most likely, we would call it a staged political protest. Now, another writer, in a carefully researched and thoughtful article, suggests that the entire story of the Passion, from Palm Sunday through the resurrection, models a Roman triumph. His argument is a little complicated and very detailed, but it's also very compelling. And through the week at our other services, I hope to share more of that with you. His point is that Mark's audience knew all about triumphs. They were as much about theology as they were military victory. Romans worshiped their emperor as a god, and the culmination of the triumph was the celebration of Roman deities. First-century readers would make that connection. In that light, Mark's story presents Jesus as both God and as the ultimate victor over the Roman Empire. And that's the conclusion we should reach, too. Christ is victorious over sin, evil, and death. His reign is eternal. I think we tend to forget that each of the Gospels is brilliant and nuanced in ways that most of us really can't appreciate. And there's a good reason we claim they are divinely inspired. This Holy Week, like last year's, is different. Things have changed, but we're still in one of those in-between places, between where we were and what we're going to become. We don't really know yet. But I hope that we will try through this week, as we attend our Holy Week services, to experience the events as either a Jew or Gentile of the first century. They too were in an in-between place, between what was and what was to be. The church struggled for years to understand the whole Jesus thing. And including the persecutions, it was a very difficult time for anyone to follow Christ. I hope we will hear the stories as the writers intended, as the people then would have understood them. The power, the glory, the tragedy, the sorrow, the miracle. They're marvelous stories that point us to Christ, to his divinity. And they're worth hearing and paying attention to. As someone has said, it's the greatest story ever told. Amen.